to show you how to teach the down cue. Our goal for this cue is that when we say our dog's name followed by the word down, that they would lay down with their elbows and their tummies on the ground until either we give them another cue or we give them their release cue. Ella, down. Good girl. Ella, sit. Good girl. Ella, down. Good girl. Ella, okay. To start teaching the cue, I'm going to make sure that I can reliably lure the dog into the down position with their elbows and tummy touching the ground. This might take just one trial or 3 trials depending on the dog. However, if you're having trouble, you might need to shape the behavior, meaning that you're going to be rewarding successive approximations. So this could mean that you're first going to be rewarding the dog for tilting its head down, to then crouching, until you're actually rewarding the complete behavior. In addition, it might help to use slightly higher value food if you're having trouble with luring. But make sure that as you're luring that they can't actually eat what's in your hand until you've marked the behavior, until they're in position, you've marked the behavior, and then you can open your hand up to let them have the food. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. As soon as I can reliably lure him into down position, I'm then going to introduce the cue down. So I'm going to say his name, down, lure him into position, then immediately mark the behavior with good boy and release the food to him. Buddy, down. Good boy. Buddy, down. Good boy. Next, I'm going to also do the same exercise except from standing up instead of sitting, so that he doesn't start anticipating that he's going to have to always go into down position from a sit. Buddy, down. Good boy. Buddy, down. Good boy. At this point, I'm going to start fading off the lure and hand signal. So each time I say the dog's name followed by down, I'm going to make slightly smaller movements towards the floor. This will likely take multiple sessions over multiple days depending on the dog. So for each subsequent session, I'm going to have to remember where I needed to move my hand for the previous one and maybe start even a little bit easier than that. Buddy, down. Good boy. Buddy, down. Good boy. Buddy, down. Down. Good boy. Good boy. Ella, down. Good girl. Down. Good girl. Once I've successfully faded off the lure, the goal is to have him stay in position for 1 or 2 seconds before getting up. To accomplish this, I'm going to be marking and rewarding in position at very short intervals. So this might mean starting from rewarding every half a second to rewarding every 2 seconds. If he gets up, I'm just going to say his name, repeat the cue, and then wait for him to get back into position before continuing to mark and reward. Ella, down. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Ella, down. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Next, I'm going to start working on building duration and introduce the release cue, which in this case is going to be okay. So I'm going to switch from rewarding him after he gets into position to only rewarding him after the release cue. So what I'm going to do is say his name, down, and then mark and praise him as soon as he gets into position, and then after 1 or 2 seconds, say the release cue, okay, and then if he needs it, encourage him out of position. This way you can gradually increase the amount of time that the dog will stay in position before they're released and rewarded. Down. Good girl. Okay. Ella, down. Good girl. Ella, okay. When we have reached the point where the dog understands the behavior, we can start varying the ratio of praise with and without food. So we're always going to praise them and give them affection once they get into position to provide feedback, and because the praise and affection themselves are going to be reinforcing, but that's only going to be followed by food part of the time. Ella, down. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Okay. Ella, down. Good girl. Good girl. Okay. Ella, down. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. Ella, okay. As with other behaviors, we can use different types of rewards to reinforce a down. So for instance, you might want to ask your dog to down before releasing them to go fetch a ball, or before releasing them to tug on a tug toy.
Ella, down. Good girl. Ella, get it. Good job. Good girl. Ready? Get it.
Once the dog understands what's expected of them from the cue, it's important to incorporate it into their daily routine such that it becomes and remains relevant for them. So for instance, you're going to be wanting to use their desired activities to reinforce obedience cues. The idea of using desired behaviors and activities to reinforce less desired behaviors is known as the Premack Principle. So for instance, you might want to use your dog's desire to run off-leash to reinforce the down by asking for a down and expecting them to stay in the down before you remove the leash and they hear the release cue. You can also do this exercise when you return from a walk and you expect them to go into a down and stay there until you release them before you take off their leash and allow them to go and have water and relax, which is what they really want to do.
Ella, heel. Good girl. Good girl. Ella, down. Good girl. Ella, okay. Ella, heel. Good girl. Ella, down. Good girl. Ella, heel. Good girl. Ella, down. Good girl. Ella, okay.